fiends, friends, and familiars, and happy 2025. Welcome to the apocalypse or another Macabre Monthly. It is your one of your hosts, Matt Orozco, and I'm also joined by
Your other host, Lowell Greenblatt. How's it
Hey
going?
Lowell. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Is it?
Sure.
Yeah,
For all intents and purposes, all acquaintance be forgot and whatever. Yes, it's a happy New
all of the above. Well, we're in a new year. Same Macabre Monthly, although I am excited for some more organization this year. I think we both spent some time thinking about how we're going to make this a little more consistent. So I'm excited for bringing some guests on. But like we always do, it's another year. What have you been watching, Lowell? What's been keeping you entertained
Year. Oh my
or
God,
not?
what what have I been watching? I just saw not horror, well, not quite horror, but I just saw the Abbott Elementary "It's Always Sunny" crossover, and it
Okay.
put me so much on edge. It's like this is hilarious, but these worlds should not meet. Like someone's going to get set on fire. Um, no, but I did actually. Yes, I did see Nosferatu, which we talked about in our best of. So I guess that counts as that already. Can you hear my dogs playing in the background?
Yeah,
This
but that's okay. That's just puppy love. You got a new puppy over the
I
past
did.
few months, so
I
you're
did.
double dad duty now.
I I love them both, and I just want them to sleep all day, or like at least early in the morning. Um, yeah,
That's
I
all this one does, by the way. The cat,
well,
master sleeper.
cats don't count. Like they seem tame, but they'll eat your face if given the opportunity. But they might too. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I think any people will eat other people if enough time passes. So,
That's
what
true.
was it?
I
Chilean, a
didn't name
Chilean. Yeah, we never know. So,
yeah. Um, yeah, movie wise, not much horror recently. I also mentioned on the monthly that we did like a week and a half ago. I saw Y2K.
I
Which
saw that on New Year's Eve, by the way.
oh,
The
what did
wife
you
and I watched it.
what did you think?
I liked it. I agree with everything you said in your summation before, which is that it has some really, really funny moments. It's does not it like it loses the plot pretty hard at the end,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I liked it. I had a good time with it. It was enough funny to outweigh just how much like try hard was in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of try hard, and it has like one of the funniest deaths I've seen on screen in a long time. But it happens right after a big emotional moment. I
Yep.
think like, and it just that undercuts it like a little bit. But the death itself, if you went to high school in this era, it's recognizably one of the funniest like things ever. Like the Stranger Things kid,
Yeah.
like my God. And the Fred Durst of it all, like, I don't know where the Fred Durst essence is coming from. He must have some really big fans in a sleeper cell in A24, but good for them because he's killing it and he's
He's
legitimately hilarious.
yeah, but the thing is like he's almost like he's ironically cool, but he's also not because he's actually seems to be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Um, and I'll never, I mean, I think us of a certain age when Limp Bizkit was king, he wasn't the most likable guy then. So I feel like he's still the same Fred Durst. It's just a little more, he's just older now and like kind of like
yeah.
the Jackass guys. You can't keep shooting yourself in the nuts.
I'll
Um,
tell them that.
yeah, well, though I feel like they're done. If they do another Jackass movie, that's murder. That
Yeah,
is straight up
that's
murder.
enough film.
Yeah,
That's
that's too
Jackass.
real.
Jackass 5: Faces of Death.
Yeah, exactly. They're just gonna call it that's the Face of Death remake. It's just the next
Yeah,
Jackass movie. Watch
God.
us kill Chris Pontius and Steve-O at the same time.
No, Steve-O will never die.
It's
Honestly,
true. Him and Keith
Steve.
Richards.
Yeah, they're gonna be the warlords of the wasteland fighting for supremacy.
Oh, it'll be a weird one, but we're almost there.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No,
No.
nothing really in the past week or so. What else besides Y2K for you?
So I'll talk about a few ones that are coming up for review on the site. One of them is Bystanders, which is by Mary Beth McAndrews.
Oh, that just played New York Horror Film Fest.
Did
Awesome.
you see it there or
No, I didn't get a
okay.
chance, but I still want to see it. I don't know when it's coming out.
The 17th, I believe, or the
Oh,
21st, one of those. So pretty soon.
nice.
But I actually did interview Mary Beth this week.
Oh,
Delightful human being, just amazing. And if those who don't know, she's the editor-in-chief of Dread Central. She
mhm.
is but one of the producers behind much of the Dread Presents label. She's a soon-to-be author, podcaster. So she did her master's thesis on the Revenge, the Coralie Farge movie. So what I'll say about Bystanders is like it does to the rape revenge film like uh it does like what's a movie that just like totally re-innovated it does like how when Evil Lurks takes the supernatural genre
Mhm.
not to this kind of extreme, but Bystanders flips the rape revenge genre at kind of a similar 180. um
Okay.
and it's a little bit more like fantastical, I think, which kind of adds some levity to it, which I think helps with some of the more harsh material, but it's
Mhm.
very well done, especially for the budget. And it's highly entertaining. I just kind of was grinning a little bit, and it's very pacey. It's in, it's out. So I enjoyed it a lot. I'll have my review up next week.
Nice.
Um, Another one, I've been watching some bangers recently now that I'm thinking about it. So I watched this one last night, or a couple nights ago. It's called Night Call. It's one that I missed at Fantastic Fest last year, and I'm so pissed I did because this movie is like propulsion. Like it is just it's a jet engine, and it's like The Raid or like John Wick as far as like it just once it starts going, it doesn't stop. It's a French movie or it's a Brussels. It's a made in Brussels French film about a locksmith who gets asked to open the door and then gets caught up in a huge like one of those like this is the worst night ever and it keeps getting worse
Mhm.
scenarios. But it's really slick, super entertaining, really well made. The ending, it's the ending kind of I feel like there's a natural ending point that it kind of blows past a little bit for the sake of something more audacious, but nevertheless, super entertaining, a lot of fun. In fact, I even wrote in my notes, I showed it to the director when I was interviewing him, like my second bullet is holy fucking shit. Because within like the first 10 minutes, this movie just slaps you across the face and you're sitting there asking for more. So Night Call, that comes out, I think, on the 21st of January. And then the last one I'll talk about is one that no doubt folks have probably seen us promoting quite a bit on our Instagram and our website, but it's Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. And I have to like rent, I cannot recommend this enough. Um, Largely because I think even if you didn't enjoy the Winnie the Pooh films, this is so different than that in a good way. And while I don't think everyone will love it, I think everyone should give it a shot. It's got a great performance from Martin Portlock, who does the Peter Pan. Um, he
Mhm.
has some Skarsgård level vocal range. Um, so it's worth a shot. I really highly recommend people go check it out. It's only going to be in theaters 13th to the 15th, one of those limited releases. So, try and make a point to go and support it if you can. Um, and tell people if you like it. So yeah, that's been the most things I've watched. Aside from some Giallo, because it is Giallo January, so I gotta sneak in my pasta. So well,
Molto bene.
uh what the fuck was Inglorious Bastards? What is the
Buongiorno.
no, what's the name that they he Margaretti? I think that's what it is. Ah, fuck. What a great movie. Well, we haven't done this in a while, but we actually, because I think the holidays, if you don't follow the entertainment industry, it kind of shuts down a little bit after Halloween or after Thanksgiving. So So not a ton of news comes out, but I'm proud to say that we once again have some news to share. So I think it's goes without saying at this point that you probably know that Macabre Monthly has some association with Macabre Daily. So please go check out the site, macabredaily.com, Macabre Daily Instagram, and you can find us at Macabre Daily YT on YouTube. But for our first set of news, we're talking about horny vampires making bank. So
I
this
don't think
happened,
horny. Everyone's talking about like the love triangle of it all, but no, that is firmly Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is not like a human love story. Like he even says, "I'm an appetite, nothing more." Not to totally cut into what you're teeing me up for here, but no, there's nothing sexy about this movie. I'm kind
I
of
mean,
worried about people who say there is.
I agree with you. I more so mean that there's just a lot of like, well, Lily Depp Rose is pretty horny in this movie. Uh, like I think there is a sexual repression and the commentary on sexual assault and kind of sexual repression, I
Mm-hmm.
think is warranted and valid. And I think I don't know if that was, I don't believe it's intentional. I don't, but I'm also not gonna, I don't know that for sure. So what the fuck do I know? But what this does mean is that regardless of the horniness, this movie has made over $100 million, which is more than double its budget after it opened internationally. Which I mean, I don't know. Are you surprised about this or no?
I mean, I it cost 50 million. Wow.
Yeah,
Um, I guess maybe I, in lieu of like long legs and the substance, I think maybe 100 million is kind of like a reasonable expectation. Um, I didn't expect it to bomb, but like if it makes much more than this, I'd be surprised. Put it that
right. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's likely going to hit probably 115 million before it leaves theaters.
way. Mm-hmm.
Um, and but I'm not surprised by this at all because even though The Northman was a financial bomb, it wasn't a critical bomb. It just happened to release at a really fucking bad time.
Yeah. But I find no one's really talking about the Northman much anymore. Like when people talk about Eggers, they talk about this and the witch and the lighthouse. But I'm like, guys, the Northman, it's right there for you. Come on.
Because every Eggers fan I talk to does not like every person I know who says they're a Robert Eggers fan says that The Northman is their least favorite movie of his. They don't say worst because I think that they all appreciate that even his
Mm-hmm.
worst movie is not a bad movie. But I think that they're wrong, and I think that they haven't revisited The Northman. And I think that the amount of lore that went into that is far more impressive
Mm-hmm.
than what went into Nosferatu. So I don't know. I'm not surprised by this at all. I am happy because
Yeah.
even if this bombed, I'm sure Eggers would still be fine.
Oh yeah.
But it does allow for more art house horror to be made by big studios.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Hollywood has a habit of fumbling these kinds of opportunities, but we have faith. So way to go, Eggers.
Hell yeah.
All right. So this came out of nowhere, seemingly. I think we reported on this last year.
Yeah, I think I heard rumblings of it, but then it was like all of a sudden it's out. I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to.
I started watching it. I need to redo it because I was watching it while I was doing something that I couldn't pay full attention to.
Where is it on? Or did you get a screener?
No screener. I rented this one.
Okay.
But yeah, we finally get the documentary about the Resident Evil that George Romero never made. Um, and by the way, shout out to Ryan Samuel Carr, who is the artist behind this artwork and another piece of artwork that adorns this release.
Mm-hmm.
He also does a lot of the George Romero Foundation artwork, and recently did an issue of Creepshow. So give him a follow. But yeah, I'm excited. I will say this is a very what I got into so far. It was very much heavy on like the history of Resident Evil.
Mhm.
Not as much Romero's involvement, but that was only maybe the first 20 minutes, and it's a 2 hour document. It's just under 2 hours. So um, I'm eager to see the rest of it. But so far, so good.
Yeah, I'm fascinated because, I mean, to me, George Romero doing Resident Evil is like Spielberg doing Ready Player One. It's
Right.
almost like the snake eating its tail, but at the same time, like George Romero doing a Resident Evil movie is like so far up his alley, like the corporate corruption and like the workers in Umbrella becoming zombies, the paramilitary types, like it's even though it was inspired by him, it felt like he really could have done something with it. So really curious to see what could have been.
So this is not so much a spoiler, but I will say that someone does quote George by saying that he said at one point he felt like he was ripping off himself.
Yeah,
And so I think you're spot on in your assessment there.
yeah.
Uh, but anyway, you can rent this now on all your major VOD providers. So Vudu, Fandango, whatever it's called now, Amazon, Apple, all that stuff. So check it out, support it. And Last of Us coming in hot for 2025 in April, just in time for the world to maybe be a little bit calmer.
I, or quieter. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I mean, I'm on record as saying The Last of Us is one of the best games ever and has a perfect ending. There never
Both
be.
of them. Both
Yeah,
of them.
yes, but after the first one, I was like, they can make 10 Last of Us games. I'll play them all. But narratively, I never need to see what happens in the story afterward.
Right.
But Last of Us Part Two is amazing, and please, please do not spoil yourself as to what happens in the video game, or if some chud online ruins it for you, because it's if you're going to continue that story, it is the perfect and natural progression of that story. So I'm really curious to see what they do. Caitlin Dever, like that's a slam dunk in itself. So
Yep.
yeah,
I mean, I what I do know is that the second game is supposed to be split into more than one, like two seasons,
yeah,
I
they
think.
can't do that. I don't know how they'd split it. That I'm curious to see. But yeah, they can't. They can't do it in like 8 or even 10 episodes. So we'll see.
I feel like it's going to be a little bit. I feel like what it'll be like is a little bit like the part ones and part twos we're getting now of kind of like these like not half seasons, but more just like they're going to leave us on some sort of cliffhanger that's going to pick up almost immediately as opposed to like kind of a season capping finale. So
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know. It's all speculation, but this comes out April. What is the exact date
Does
here?
it say the date or just April? Is it 25th
Mm,
or am I making that up? No, I'm
mm,
thinking April 2025. Yeah, in April. They'll tell us.
April. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tease.
Yeah.
Um, Next up is the first slasher movie to hit theaters of 2025, Hard Eyes. Did you watch this trailer?
Yep. I'm excited.
Yeah, it fucks.
Yeah. Michael Kennedy is awesome. The only movie of his that I did not like was Time Cut, which just came out, but I get the feeling that maybe he wasn't too enthusiastic about it either, based on his
Mm,
social media. Or I let let me back up a little bit. It seems like he's more stoked about promoting this than mentioning Time Cut, but I wasn't a big fan of Time Cut. But I love Freaky, and I
yeah,
really, really dug It's a Wonderful Knife. So I mean, it's on other people to screw up his scripts at this point is how I'm viewing it. And Josh Rubin is fantastic. So I mean, we're eating good for
yeah.
B Day.
This trailer got me really excited for this movie. And I don't say really excited, like my expectations aren't, you know, wildly out of proportion, but more so I wasn't, you know, I had no expectations before it. Now I'm like, okay, this looks like it has some really cool, fun ideas. That tire iron scene,
Yeah.
perfect cap end to a trailer. So yeah, and I agree with you. I've been a huge fan of Michael Kennedy's stuff since his Attack of the Queer Wolf days.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
And yeah, he's on fire. So and he, we worked with Christopher Landon again. Again, you said Josh Rubin on the directing. We got a pretty good cast here.
Yeah.
Um, I will say Devin Sawa stirred the pot today on his Instagram when he said that he thinks that the Hard Eyes could take the minor. And I'm like, come on, we don't need there's room for both.
Yeah.
There's three Valentine's Day kill. I'm just holding up four. There's three Valentine's Day killers right now. So we're good. We're
Hmm.
good.
There's always room for more.
Yeah, the table can
Yeah.
always have more chairs on it.
Yeah. Just like
So
with Thanksgiving, you can have John Carver, you can have the Gobbler. There's more holidays to come.
yeah, and I can't wait till we get to Easter. So
Mhm.
a couple more pieces of news here. The Until Dawn game is getting an update. And basically says we know that this game is coming and it's going to come out April 25th.
Wait, the
Uh,
no movie. The it's
yeah, the
the
movie.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Sorry, did I say game?
Yeah, well, it was a game, but
Yeah,
yeah, but
game based on
yeah.
movie with Larry Fessenden in it.
Is
Um,
he in it? He's confirmed to be in it, or are you
no, no,
talking
he was in the
about it?
game.
Well, he better be in the movie, or else what are we doing?
I
But
think he wrote the
yeah,
game too, didn't he?
yeah, I
Or
think
helped write the game.
well, yeah, he was definitely involved, but I
And
didn't
Peter
know that
Stormare
when
is going to be in
he was
it.
playing it.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, I actually never finished the game because I
Hmm.
get really frustrated with the pace of these kinds of games. They're just
Hmm.
not for me. They're just interactive books.
Yeah, I
But
I didn't know that till I played it, but I still made it to the end because I'm like, I would watch this movie if it was a movie, but it's a game, so I'll play the game. But now that it's a movie, I'm much more excited.
I do feel like now that there's like been a PS5 update for some time, and maybe it's the chance to give it another look see. But yeah, we're gonna get the movie on the 25th, and you know what? I say bring it on. Sony seems to be swinging for the fences with horror this year.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they've decided to give up on Marvel and start focusing on horror. And you know what? I'm all for it. So,
Hell yeah.
and last but not least, we have a
Mhm.
banger of a documentary coming out about some of the rising stars of horror. And I mean, they're not even rising stars at this point. These are household names who have, in some cases, multi-adapted films, books to film. So, first word on horror. Um, this looks exciting, Will. What are you thinking?
I am very excited, but I think it's on Substack, like
Yeah,
Substack streaming it, which I don't understand. I mean, I guess it makes sense from like a literary standpoint, but I'm like, do they have a streaming platform? I don't care. Either way, I'm gonna see it because yeah, I do and could listen to Stephen Graham Jones and Paul Tremblay alone talk for hours and hours. So yeah, sign me the hell up, and hopefully we'll be talking to some of these fine
yeah,
folks.
yeah. Hopefully, we'll
Yeah.
be get a chance to speak to them. And I think this is cool. I one thing I've noticed, and it's no surprise to you, but you're a much more voracious reader than I am, is that the world of like horror literature has been seeing quite a renaissance the past few years.
Oh yeah, exploding.
And I think it's actually like in some ways inspiring more people to read. Because I can't think of again, I'm not in the literary world, so I'm not privy to other genres, but I don't get the sense that there's a lot of conversation about, you know, horror seems to be keeping a conversation going and keeping people reading at a time when it's so easy not to. So
Mm-hmm.
power to the horror.
Yeah, there are like bona fide horror sections in Barnes and Noble now. I don't think they were there a few years ago. Like now, all Stephen King is found in the horror section. When he was,
Nonfiction.
yeah, he was in fiction. Now he's in horror, which is great that there's like a designated section that people always seem to be checking out. But yeah, it's funny. I've read more horror in the past few years than I have like ever before because people keep telling me, "Oh, you have to read this book," or you discover this author and realize, "Oh, this author is great." It just depends on like what the subject of their book is going to be. Like Grady Hendrix is one of those. When I was talking to
Right.
him, I was like, he's kind of like the Wes Anderson or the Christopher Guest of horror books in that he has a very distinct voice.
Yeah.
So, but like each book is about like it's a different kind of horror. There's like the haunted house book.
Vampires, the fight, the survive, final girls,
Yeah,
the possession story.
yeah, and it's all him. Like what a Grady Hendrix book is. He's just like he's on another continent, just like Wes Anderson or Christopher. Like people who like what you're getting,
He's
but
an
if you don't,
auteur. Like his authorship is an auteur. Like he's an auteur author. If that's a
yeah,
auteur is more of like film term,
yeah,
whatever.
totally. And there's a few people like that, but yeah, it really does seem like horror fiction is like riding a hell of a wave right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to read more books. That's a resolution. I don't really do resolutions, but I do try and think of just things to do to improve myself. And so I'm gonna read that new Clay McLeod Chapman book.
Oh,
Um,
it's so I reviewed it for the site
I
and I interviewed
know.
him for it. It's real. Let me know what you think. I think it might be his best book. I know it's still kind of fresh and I have liked his others, but like this one was just like bam, bam, bam. Like it just hit all the way through. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that and Rest Stop are my next two reads.
Oh, cool.
So I will report back in 4 to 6 months because that's how long it takes me to read books. But
Remember,
anyway,
listening to audiobooks counts. If someone tells you it doesn't, they're a cop.
so I have no disrespect for the audiobook. I just cannot retain that information.
Yeah,
Like
no.
when it comes to podcasts, even like I even then like I still sometimes don't do too much when I'm listening to some podcasts because I want to really listen. But
I can if it's like an interview, but yeah, for fiction podcasts, like I couldn't do serial. I like need it like in front of me. But yeah, for anyone else out there, audiobooks count. Just putting
yeah,
it, yeah.
yeah. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Reading, and
Yeah.
supporting those authors is however you do it is how you do it. But
Mm.
to our topic, which I didn't announce at the beginning, but if you're on this YouTube, uh, you know, video, you probably saw the title. I'd like to think so. You know, you know that we're talking about top five monologues. Now, Lowell, I'm curious. Did you find this difficult at all? Trying to determine what could be what is the limit of what is and is not a monologue? Because I was like I was very critical and I'm like I feel like Lowell's gonna call me out on some of these, but
I mean, well, because like I have a degree in dramatic writing, I guess I have an idea of what a monologue is, but it's not too rigid. I mean, it's just, basically a speech, like someone talking uninterrupted, that's meant to convey something very specific that, hopefully it sticks with you when you leave the film, or it adds so much to the story that it leaves, an impact. We're basically just not an exchange of dialogue. It's just words at you, basically. And yeah, it's just something I've thought of because I thought of a few really good ones. And I'm like, yeah, I can do a list of this. But even now, I'm sure there are so many others that I'm not even thinking of beyond the ones that I chose.
so I think the dirty secret that most horror content creators will not tell you, or maybe they will, I don't know, is that all of us Google shit to find information. None of us have such steel trap brains that we are retaining everything we ingest. Maybe some of us, but they are the slim minority.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do my research to prepare for these, like I always use Google to jog my memory. I think about movies that stick with me. Do
Yeah,
they have monologues?
I thought that's a given. Like, no shade. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I just I like to feel like we're more transparent here. Is that we're not some Mensa members of the horror community. Rather, we are I don't know. Maybe Lowell's a Mensa member. I'm not. I can tell you that much. But
We are surrounded by so much physical media. Like, we can't be expected to remember every single thing about it. We just know that we love it. So,
yep,
yes, when we do these lists, I sometimes peruse my collection. Like, oh, yeah, that one. Yeah. And,
yep.
you know,
Oh, the collection's the first place I go.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this because I then got to like listen and watch these clips, and I'm like, oh, like good monologues give you goosebumps, and some of these still shake me. So yeah, I had a fun time with this. But let's get into what's the first one you had for your top five. And again, I feel like it's safe to say no specific order
Mm-hmm.
is I'm okay. I'm going to relinquish my rules on myself that there's no specific order. I only do that for the best of lists. So or
Mm-hmm.
if I just feel like it.
Yeah. No, I was kind of surprised. Some of these are actually fairly recent, but one that immediately came to mind was Resurrection with Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth. Have you seen that? I believe it was
No.
Gutter. It's the woman who Rebecca Hall is a single mother. She's like an executive or something, and she notices,
Yes.
and yeah, Tim Roth has come back
Yes.
to her life, and it's like, is she going crazy, or is he like the man who like
That came out
abused
like 3 years
her,
ago, right?
something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like she's really wary of this guy, and he doesn't even seem to notice her at all. He's just like walking around her town, and she eventually, like maybe a third or halfway through the movie, has this long monologue about like how he was like baby girling her, but like in a really like bad way. Like it was like dominant, submissive, like torture, basically. Like and it's just like it's so captivating, and she's so good saying it, and it's just like from going to from starting to a place that like, wait, what's this happening, what are they going to do, and then when they tell you, it's like it's so much worse than what you could possibly imagine. And then there's stuff about like she had a baby, and it's just, or did she, maybe she's crazy, I don't know, but it's just so captivating, and it just like the world turns on a dime when you hear it, and now you're like, I have to see the rest of this movie right now.
I don't remember it explicitly, but I do remember. I think I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's I do remember it was pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And it does kind of it did get me as far as the like the twist, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But excellent. So I'm gonna start with one that again I feel like it may or may not qualify, but it's from Nightbreed. And it's the speech that Peliquin gives when he gets caught, like when Boone sneaks into Midian.
God is an astronaut. That one.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And he's like, God, everything's true. God's an astronaut. Oz is over the rainbow, and Midian's where the monsters live.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a little back and forth from there, but I feel like just the way that that exchange goes, it's so well, one, I don't think that's in the book. If I remember correctly, I do not think that's a direct quote from Cabal, but I may be wrong. It's been 20 years since I read Cabal. Probably due for a reread, but uh, I don't know. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. It's gonna get tattooed on my body at some point. Um, and it's just so fucking mean because from there he goes, he's trying to convince Peliquin that he's like, I'm one of you, and he's like, no, you're not. You're just meat. You're just fucking meat. And it's so mean. It's so just
You mean Boone? He's trying to convince Boone.
no, no. Boone's trying to convince him that he's supposed to be there, and
Uh,
Peliquin's like, no, you're not. You're just meat.
uh,
You're just
yeah.
meat.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that still sticks with me. And Clive Barker, he's not. It's not. This is not the first time he's going to appear on my list because he has
Mm-hmm.
another character who's really good at spouting off some really wicked, wicked commentary. So that's my first one.
Oh, is he a religious figure? Would you say? Mm-hmm.
Might be depending on which direction we're looking to pray. So
There we go.
what's your next one?
My next one is the "I am your mother" speech from Hereditary.
Oh, this
Now,
is one of mine too.
yeah, I know I think I've heard people say that this is the scariest moment in the film, and that's
Yep.
incorrect. But it's a great moment. It's
Wait. Is the scariest moment in the film when she's in the corner for you?
I honestly, there's a bunch to choose from, but kind of, yeah, when she's in the corner, when she's up top with the string, and the telephone pole. But this is just like that whole speech, the way she does it, and it's just so full of like, I know it's not your fault and I know you're upset and that doesn't matter because fuck you is basically what she's saying. And it's so real and raw and truthful. It feels like it's like, it should be in a Eugene O'Neill play,
Yeah.
but it's like instead it's like in the middle of this horror movie, and it's like from there like nothing's gonna be okay. Like that's like bad shit has happened already, but that's like the beginning of the descent, and it's just fantastic.
I like this is to me the biggest snub of the past 20 years
Oh
in the
yeah.
genre is Toni Collette not getting a look for this role because that monologue, I am one of those people that says this is the scariest part of the movie. And it's because
Oh
it does the one thing that, yeah, but you know what? Like, I mean,
yeah.
listen, I would also argue that the string part is also, it's
Mhm.
unnerving. But this to me is like, well, I'd say the other scariest part is him coming home after the car.
Yeah, there's so much to choose from. It's just it's a terrifying film, but yeah.
But this to me, like when I watch this speech, like I can't. It feels like you're not supposed to be there. It feels like you're watching something that you're not supposed to be privy to. And Gabriel Byrne's face says it all. He's so flabbergasted at like he's like I don't, and like the look on, I forget his name, the actor who plays the son.
It's Nat Wolf or Alex Wolf. I forget which
Yeah,
Wolf.
Alex Wolf.
Okay.
He's just so broken and like um I'm not I'm fine. I don't find Ari Aster to be the most amazing filmmaker, but goddamn, Hereditary is a fucking masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
I started Beau is Afraid, off topic, but I'm having a very hard time getting through it because I have anxiety and I also have a very interesting mom, and so I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
So
I'll get there eventually. But I watched his short film, The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. Have
I
you
need to
seen it?
watch that. I've
It's
heard it's wild. Well, not
it
wild, like it's just what the fuck.
it yes. I mean, definitely watch it, but like I can't believe a short film could do that to me. I'm like,
Wow.
where did this come from? How did he get people to agree to do this? But just watch it. But anyway, that'll be on our list of best horror shorts because holy shit.
Oh, we got to do that. It's a good idea.
Yeah, and I
Um,
see more horror shorts, but yeah.
yeah, Hereditary. I mean, I don't. Anyone that says that this is not a good movie, I would beg you to go watch that. Go watch that scene,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything from that point, like you said, like it's like the roller coaster dropping off point. Like nothing's the same,
Yeah.
um, and everything just becomes increasingly more feral.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, outstanding. That was one of mine. So we'll just chalk that up to that one. So what's your next one?
Okay. Speaking of places that you're not supposed to be when someone goes on a monologue, I would imagine this is on your list, but I don't want to cast aspersions. Pearl.
No,
Um, that's not on your list,
no, it's a
really.
great monologue, but it's
Uh,
also like on every single list of monologues. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm not my connection to that monologue. I can appreciate it for how long it is.
uh,
But I'm also like, it hasn't had the same impact on me as other things I'll talk about.
okay. It's just like Mia Goth is already doing a fantastic job, and then that happens, and you're just like, what the fuck? And it goes on for a while, and she sustains it, and it's just like maybe Maxine never had a chance because after Pearl, like
Yeah.
the expectations are so high, and I like Maxine, and I'm
Yeah.
sure I plan on watching it again, but like man, like Pearl just throws down the gauntlet so hard, but man, just like you're kind of at like an arm's distance with her for most of the
Mhm.
movie, and this just like brings you fully in, and it's just like oh my god, but also oh my
What the
god,
fuck? Yeah, you're always like,
yeah,
oh my God, you poor sweet thing. And what the fuck is, and like also bless your fucking heart, Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, listen, no, I think Mia Goth is one of like for better or worse, a true actor.
yeah.
And I think there's something special because of how the close proximity of like, do you know like how closely they made Pearl to X? Like
Like
Mia
at
Goth was
the same
like
time,
extended her stay like 3
yeah.
weeks.
her and Ty West extended their, yeah, that's basically what had happened. It's like a bonus movie, and it's better than the one they went down there to shoot. Yeah.
And so
Oh,
like I think that there's something in like, that momentum that they built in that collaboration that it's really hard to parlay that with like a year and a half to 2 year gap until your next film.
mhm.
So you're kind of right. Like Maxine really didn't have a chance to capture that same spirit, but it is an amazing, like, again, another example of like, wow, how the fuck does the Academy, and any, and even the I think Pearl got some Golden Globe nods, but I don't think it won.
No,
Um,
I joke that I blame this on Jordan Peele for winning the Oscar for the screenplay of Get Out because it makes us think that Tony Collette and Mia Goth had a chance, and they didn't. But yeah, like the fact that the two of them got snubbed for not even a nomination, like get the fuck right on out of here, man.
yeah, like none of those people that, I mean, I can't say this for surely, but I don't know how many people do 8 minute monologues.
Not a lot.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I feel like that's a rarity that deserves its own praise. But anyway, my next one is also a long one. It's the Richard Brake monologue from 31 as Doomhead.
Oh yeah.
Not a great
Uh,
movie,
no,
but
but he's great in it. Even when some of his lines are downright stupid and goofy. Sorry, Rob Zombie, but like,
he
yeah,
owns it.
my he, you know, like Rob Zombie makes movies about piranhas who just eat up the screen every single scene they're in, and Richard Brake
Wow.
just yeah, no,
I can't
it's
get over the way you put
no,
that.
seriously, he makes movies to be devoured by the people who are starring in them. And Richard Brake just comes in and is like, just whips it out, throws it on the table, like Milton fucking Berle, like here we go, beat this, like right from the beginning.
And I, again, it's one of those examples of it's without Richard Brake in this movie, this is not a great movie. It's not the worst movie,
He
but
elevates it. He absolutely 100% elevates it.
and it's a single take, like 6 minute monologue. And it's just insane. I it's so intense too. His eyes are just right looking at you the whole time. And you
Mm-hmm.
believe, I think what works is that you believe him. This isn't on my list. I hope it's not on yours. So I don't want to spoil anyone's, but the Anthony Hopkins, profiling one, like you know more about Hannibal Lecter in that moment than you do from anything anybody tells you in the movie up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the opening of 31 introduces you to Doomhead, Richard Brake's character, and that sets the tone of like, okay, that's what kind of movie I'm going to see. This
Mm-hmm.
is, and unfortunately, it doesn't persist in that same um, high, but nevertheless,
Mm-hmm.
kudos to Richard Brake. I think it's a 6 minute long scene, so it's a pretty beefy one.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think I have two more.
Yep.
And it's funny because they're both slasher films, which aren't really films that you would imagine having monologue. Well, I mean,
Think I know what one of them is. It's not on my list, but I think I know what it is.
I don't think it's that one, but I thought about that, and that's technically not a monologue. But I I'm not the biggest fan of the original Friday the 13th. It is known. Um, but when Betsy Palmer shows up as Mrs. Voorhees, and you like that, it's just so well done. Like, oh my god, she has a way out. What are you doing, old lady? Even though she's like 50 or whatever, like, get out of there. From like when she tells the story of Jason and realizing A, she's behind the killings, B, she's out of her freaking mind, and C, she has found the final girl. It like all through that monologue of like it was his birthday, and then she's like, it's rising anger.
But they didn't hear him.
Yeah, they weren't paying any attention, and then she like reins it in, and she's like, we can go now, and it's just like, oh my god, like that to me, that's the best part about that movie. And if it
Yeah.
has a place the horror pantheon, it's because of Tom Savini's effects and Betsy
And Betsy
Palmer.
Palmer. Yeah. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. And it's her eyes. Her eyes in that monologue, they see right through you because it's like the same look that you get when like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
someone's just they're gone. Like they are so gone and they're so
Yeah.
entranced in their own whatever they're doing or thinking or saying.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way her little soul like kill her, mom. Like she's the you
Yeah.
could tell she's fucking unhinged. It's almost like Piper Laurie and Carrie. It's like she's
Mm-hmm.
unwell and you from
Yeah.
in all regard and you can tell immediately that
Oh yeah.
something is like like she's trembling like a chihuahua with discomfort.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, huge fan of that. Great choice. My next one is I think I don't think it's underrated. I just think that because this movie has gotten a lot more praise over the past 10 years, but we
Mm-hmm.
still, again, another example of snubbing horror for a absolutely like career-making performance, which is Brad Dourif in Exorcist 3.
Mm-hmm.
When he's sitting there with George C. Scott and he just talks about the block to lift the legs up, and it's so gross. You have to squeeze the blood through the tubes, and you're like, oh my God, it's so detailed that you believe him. You believe every single thing he's saying. And then, of course, Brad Dourif's like the words themselves are menacing and diabolical, but the performance just adds. I mean, it's Brad Dourif. He's transformative in this role and any role he takes on. But man, sends shivers down your spine. And like it's few, there's very like maybe parts of Kevin Spacey's characterization of John Doe in Seven, but they don't. I don't think they come as close to like the unhingedness of because where you have like Hannibal Lecter is like one kind of very cold, calculating serial killer that's almost kind of obsessive compulsive. You have this other almost like maniacal wild card, almost like a Ramrod from fucking Vice Squad killer, that is like that's Brad Dourif's Gemini killer. Is like he's got a process, but he's not very organized. He's just kind of messy about it, and ah, so good.
Yeah. I have to rewatch that. It's been a while, but yeah. Uh, he's
That movie's just performances. Like I think one of the most impressive things about The Exorcist 3 is that it finds a way to be scary without doing anything close to what the original Exorcist did.
Oh yeah, it's a totally different movie, which you
Like it's
always
almost
have
like a
to explain
play.
to people when you like tell them. Yeah.
And I think that that works so well for it. I think that's why, and I think that's why I kind of get bummed about the two prequels that they made. Is like there's between those two movies, there's actually probably a good movie in there,
Mm-hmm.
but neither of them understood the assignment well enough to like write something coherent. And Rennie Harlins is probably the worst of the bunch, but nevertheless, watch Exorcist 3 more.
Yes. Um, I only have one more. How many more do you have?
I have one more, but I have a runner up, and it's not so much a monologue, but I still love watching this. It's semi
But
monologue.
tell me. You go
My
first.
runner up,
Yeah.
my runner up is the Hellraiser Bloodline quote or kind of monologue where he the uh, two guards find Pinhead
I
and is like
and
freeze like
yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's like pain is like we're gonna put some pain on you. He's like pain. How dare you use that word?
Mhm.
Um, uh, what is it? What you think of as pain is a shadow. Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you. And like, gentlemen, I am pain. And I'm like, oh, like it's just Doug Bradley being fucking Doug Bradley to the most Bradleyest.
I thought you were gonna say at the end when he's like talking about when he's in the space station, Pinhead in the space station, when he's like, it's a garden of flesh. He's looking at the Earth. He's like, it's a garden of flesh. But
Yeah, the creatures who walk
also,
its surface, always looking for the light, never seeing the untold oceans of darkness beyond. There are more humans alive today than all of its pitiful history. The Garden of Eden, a garden of flesh.
yeah, he had God. He's just got like all through the series. Well, all through the first four.
Up to the fourth.
Yeah, yeah. We don't count the rest of those necessarily. Um. So okay. So my number one is it's a short monologue, and I will say watching Donald Pleasance as Sam Loomis in the Halloween movies. When I was younger, I would always just get frustrated because he's always running around talking about like Michael is evil. Michael, he never calls him the shape like the credits do, but like he calls him it.
Michael,
Michael, yeah,
Michael.
all that just so unhinged, and he's like, I know what he is. I knew hell would not have him, and I'm like, what the fuck is he? What if you know what it is? Just like tell us. You're being vague every single time, and in all those sequels, they're just a pale imitation of my number one pick, which is the Blackest Eye speech from Halloween, because I've always said Halloween is the Seinfeld of horror movies. It's nothing. It's a guy in a mask going around killing people. It's not, that's what it is, and it works so well because the people who are making it, are incredibly talented. But at the same time, you need to give people a little something to sort of you know get them to the end of the story that John Carpenter and Deborah Hill want to say. And even though some of it pops up in the movie, like when he calls it to the nurse, and when he's like trying to warn people, but it's just so laser focused in the moment where he's talking to the sheriff, and he's like, I met him. I knew he is just pure and simply evil. And for that movie, that's all you need. Like he
Yeah.
gives you exactly what you need, exactly in that monologue. And I also I'm a little embarrassed to say it wasn't until I read Shock Value by Jason Zinneman. Have you ever read that book?
No, I haven't.
It's it's fantastic. He's a New York Times writer, and he talks. It's like movies from the '70s turning into the '80s, and it's like the influence of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Alien and Halloween, and it's like the birth of all of that. It's amazing. You should read it. But he talks about like how John Carpenter was influenced by Lovecraft for Halloween, and that had never occurred to me. Like it just blew like my mind because Lovecraft is like the horror of the unknowable, and like
Yeah.
you don't really know.
It's ill-defined horror. It's like it's
Yeah,
pure evil.
yeah, and it like Michael Myers is a blank slate. Even his mask, like it's white. It's just a blank white. It could be anything, and that just blew my mind. And to me, that like his speech is like kind of the ultimate summation of that, except at the end when he says he is the boogeyman, which is its own thing. And by the way, the guy who did the documentary on the shower scene from Psycho and David Lynch loving Wizard of Oz, Alexander Felipe, I think he has a documentary coming out called Chain Reactions about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I would love to see. But I want him to make a documentary all about the ending of Halloween, like the original Halloween, because that's like one of the best moments in horror, very Lovecraftian.
Did he
But
do
yeah,
the 237 movie as well? Or is that somebody else?
no, 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 that's Rodney Asher who did like the Nightmare. I'm not really into
Yeah,
them.
I'm iffy on that
Because
movie.
those, it's well done, but it's like all those people are insane. Like they're just out of their minds, and like I get it soon after I start it. But yeah, that monologue is like still kicking ass after 45 years.
Well, I think it's, whenever you watch any sort of documentary or like kind of supplemental material on all these different releases we've gotten of Halloween over the years, and they talk about what Donald Pleasance brought to that. They always say the same thing. It's like you bring like a legitimate theater actor who brings that gravitas, and you see that in everything he does. Like he's no one put turns in a bad performance in Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very clear that like Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance are delivering like
Yeah.
the
Well,
focus points. And
it
even
was
and
her.
Donald Pleasance is that
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was her first film, but Donald Pleasance is like English Shakespearean actor. You know.
yeah. And it's more I say more Jamie Lee Curtis because like you don't have Halloween without Laurie kind of thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
even though Sally is probably the first real final girl, um,
Yeah.
nevertheless, like I think Jamie Lee Curtis's bring on it, the innocence, I guess, of Jamie Lee Curtis. But anyway, yeah, Donald Pleasance elevates that movie significantly. But everything he says is gold in that movie. He just
Yeah. Oh yeah.
well, my last one is also a short one. It is the very small kind of monologue that um, uh, Gary Oldman gives at the beginning of Dracula when he comes back to you know, after war and he realizes that Elizabeth has killed herself.
Yeah.
And he what does it have it right here? Uh he's like, in the presence of God, I understand at last how love no, no, that was just had it.
When he's in the armor.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Oh yeah, it's like, is this my reward for defending God's church? He's like, I renounce God, I renounce him. And
mm,
then he's like saying, like, I'm gonna come back with all the powers of darkness. And then he says, the blood is the life, and the blood will be mine. And I think part of what makes this monologue so effective is something like, first of all, the performances are insane. Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins and are just, totally in. But it's also the music from, I forget his name is Vortex something. I
mm,
forget his last name, but the music, the way that it kind of crescendos during this moment, it
mm,
it makes the monologue that much more profound. And I don't know, I just love watching it because it's just so, it's pure cinema to me. Like, this is just like, and it's the beginning of the movie. Um, and I think that there are very few movies that start off with so much like that just leave you on such a high as Bram Stoker's Dracula does. In light of our recent Nosferatu discussions, I just feel like I had to go back and rewatch Bram Stoker's Dracula, and
yeah, I still
it's
have to do that. But
it's
yeah.
solidified as my favorite interpretation
Mm,
of Dracula. I will say somewhat tangentially that no one gives enough love to Frank Langella's version back in the 70s. It's actually pretty fucking good and it's pretty bloody. So, you
I
know,
still have to see that.
it's good. It's
Yeah.
pretty good. Langella is far more impressive as Dracula than I ever thought he would be. And that's because I've only seen Frank Langella without hair most of the time. So seeing it
uh,
with hair, you're like, ah, yeah, okay. He was young once, but him and like Alan Arkin look exactly the same sometimes. But
yeah.
or Alan Alda, that's something. Alan Alda, not Alan Arkin.
I think you mean Arkin. I
Maybe.
Arkin's
Shit.
more involved. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The one in Little Miss Sunshine.
Arkin.
That was
Yeah,
Arkin.
that's Alan Arkin.
Okay,
Arkin
then.
called Paxton Pullman. Yeah.
Oh, wait, Alda was Mash, right?
Yes.
Fuck, God, too many.
Yeah.
Not enough. Two, like there's like three Allens, and oh no, it's Alec. Never mind. I'm getting off topic here. Anyway, that's our top five monologues. The bonus one for me.
Mhm.
Um, I think for our next episode, so we have one coming up, another one this month. We're going to be doing a roundtable discussion, still finalizing the topic, but be on the lookout for that one. Lowell, you got anything coming up? Anything interesting you want to share, or anything, any events you'll be at, or anything like that?
Um, Not cons for a while. I should be at a Connecticut Horror Con in May. Um, Otherwise, I'll just be going to Brooklyn Horror Society events and yeah, just checking out stuff at Necromantic Brewery on Long Island. I think there's talk of a Long Island Horror Convention at the end of February, but I believe, just have a name and location for that so far. So we're just waiting on details. So
Nice.
we'll see. I'll report back if it happens.
Cool. Well, not much going on here in Cleveland because it's cold as shit and there's snow on the ground. So not till I think March or April when Cinema Wasteland is our first event. But
Nice.
nevertheless, we got a lot of stuff going on the website. So please check out macabredaily.com. Check us out on Instagram at Macabre Daily. If you found this video, you're on our YouTube. So if you want to hit the like button, do it. If you don't, okay. But anyway, from both of us, be good, stay safe. Please stay safe, especially if you're in Los Angeles right now.
Yeah.
Please just, we're our hearts are with you, in the best possible way. And above all things, even though it may be tough, maybe watch some horror movies. They can help you feel better. Um, so do
Abs-
that.
yeah.
Adios.
Later.